In this lesson, we'll be creating the gasket design in AutoCAD. So first thing I'll do is open up the drawing and take a look at it. I notice that I've got essentially two concentric parts that are scaled differently. So let's go ahead and get this set up here. Before I start, let's go into our preferences and make sure that we have the proper settings here. So I'm going to go to my snap settings, and I'm not going to bother with the snap and the grid at this point, but the polar snap and the object snap are very important, especially with that midpoint in the object snap. So if you need to pause it and go back, just make sure those are all the same. It makes your work a lot easier here. Alright, so what I need to do then is to start to build this object, and it's a little confusing because there's actually two parts of it. So what we're going to do here is, let's just make sure that we have the dimension styles all set up first. And set current. Click that box first and then hit modify. And if you notice that the drawing is in hundredths, so it's 0.00 in the precision, and that's all we're really going to concentrate on at this point. I can always go back and make changes and then select OK. And we close the settings, and then what we're going to do is, you really want to go with what it gives you. And I have this outside, mostly the dimensions here. So there is a radius there, but I'm going to go ahead and use the bottom left as my 0, 0. So select the line tool, go ahead and type in 0, 0 and enter. And then I'm going to essentially point my mouse up, and it's 4.5 inches minus 2. So that's going to be 2.5, and push enter after I type that in. 2.5 and then enter. And then it tells me that there's a 1 inch space, so I'll move my mouse to the left and type in 1 and enter. And then it gives us the 2 inch dimension, so go ahead and point my mouse up on the y-axis. And then this is a little tricky. I'm going to just go ahead to the right here on the x and type in 7.5, pointing in that direction. It's actually 4.5 up, but so I'll just go ahead and indicate that point. That way I can trim it and work off that circle, and then hit escape. So that's really all I can do at this point. So what I'm going to do is, let's go ahead and complete this. I don't know what that angle is, and honestly it doesn't matter if everything else is accurate. So what I'll do is, I'll start at that 0, 0 and then move my mouse to the right on the x-axis. So I'll type in 0, 0. It's always best if you can type in the coordinates rather than snap, because sometimes you get errors or you're snapping to different objects. And so in this case, it's going to be 7 minus 1, so that's 6 inches. All right, and it's always best, before I get too far along here, to dimension the drawing just for accuracy. And I always typically do this in a manner that's going to be what is required at the end. So may as well kill two birds with one stone. So always being very careful to select the part and not the tail of that dimension line, because that can really lead to errors in my drawing. So far so good, 2 inches. So it's really important, again, that you verify everything, and if it's not accurate, just go back and start it over. It's usually the easiest way to do it. We haven't gotten that far into it. 4.5 inches, so I'm pretty good here. And if you notice, I'm already in the hundredths at 0.00, so I don't need to change that. And the scale looks pretty good for the font size. And that was the default size. And 7.5, and that is actually a dimension that I'm going to need. That's why I actually drew that line. And you've completed the first exercise.